Hi, thank you so much for joining me today. So today I am going to go through some more detailed looks with the new Chanel Blanc collection. So I have some different, eye experiments with the eyeshadow quads, which I will show you. All timestamps will be down below. So please, I know this is a long video, so please utilize those so you can skip around to what you are interested in watching if you are not somebody who wants to watch this whole thing. So I'm gonna go through different eye looks. I am going to show you guys, some of my experiments with the Gloss Lumiere, the Rosy light drops, the blush, and so basically I'm going to go through all the products. So those will be incorporated into the different looks. And then at the end, I will have my thoughts on the collection. And if you stay tuned to the very, very end, I have had some requests for some comparisons to the Chantecaille Hummingbird collection. So I did compare those quads from the Chantecaille and the Chanel Blanc collection. So you can see swatches of both of those and kind of get an idea of what you like, what you don't. Spoiler alert, they are not as similar as they may look just in the pan. So they are pretty different. And I think, a lot of it's going to depend on what kind of look you're going for, because I feel like these Chanel shadows in general are going to give you a softer, just in general, like a softer, more blurred look versus, because look at the subtle shimmer that you have on these compared to the Chantecaille, which is going to be a little bit more sparkly. So I think that's going to make a difference, and that may be a determining factor for somebody. So let's go ahead. I do have the swatches up on another video, but real quickly, I'm just going to go ahead and swatch all 8 of these shadows for you so you can see them before we move on to the eye looks. And then again, at the end of the video, I will have swatches comparing the Chanel and the Chantecaille quads. So I'm going to start off with the quad 356, and I'm going to swatch. We're going to go in order. So this is how the quad goes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so this is the quad for 356 of Fleur. And so you can see that we've got a light rosy pink. This is white, but when you put it on, you actually see a lot of pink iridescence. You can kind of see it as I'm shifting my hand now. All of these shades are referred to as iridescent shades on Chanel.com. You can see this is a little bit of a deeper pink, but it does have very similar tones to the lighter one. This one is slightly lighter and more purpley pink, whereas this is more reddish pink, but they are very similar. And then you have this deep purple, which, I think swatching it here, it looks kind of like purpley gray, but it's really, it's beautiful. It's not one of those purples that has a ton of black in it and looks kind of muddy. It really does stay kind of true to tone. So these are the shadows in 356. So next I'm going to show you guys these shadows, and we're going to go in order 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so this peachy shade, it's here. It's hard to see. There's just like a little bit of a peach tint, but it is similar to my skin tone, so it is hard to see. The white looks more of a stark white than the one in the other quad, but there is a little bit of a peachy tint to it. Again, this peach shade, it's a beautiful fleshy peach look, and there is a little hint of sparkle there. This blends really well with other colors, so it works really well as a base for me. And you can see both of these silvery gray shades have blue undertones. And when you shear them out, you see a bit more of the blue in there. This one's obviously deeper. And, these, they're beautiful. This one here, this lighter one, actually, you can't really tell it in the swatches, but when you put it on your eyes, you can see that you've got hints of blue and green mixed into there. So these shades, you know, they really have a lot of color to them that you just don't really notice until you kind of pair it with the other ones on the eyes. So in my opinion, you know, these are great shades, but to see their true color, you kind of want to have them, you know, adjacent, slightly blended a little bit with some of the other shades to kind of pick up some of the nuances of those colors. All right, so those are the shadows, and stay tuned and we will start with the eye looks or makeup looks in general. So thanks so much, and I'll see you. All right, so right now on my face, I have on the Clé de Peau Radiant Cream to Powder Foundation in shade I-10 and the Clé de Peau Radiant Corrector for Eyes in shade Ivory. Then I didn't set that, actually I should. I used the Chantecaille Perfect Blur just under my eyes for setting pattern. I'm actually been using this a few days like that, and I like it because it adds a little bit of a brightening effect as well. So I'm just gonna actually gonna use this as a setting powder on the rest of my skin real quickly too, just so I don't have any shift. All right, so let's go ahead and apply the blush. And this is the new Chanel blush from the collection. This is 330 Rose Pétillant. Let's see here. And I think it is a beautiful, beautiful blush. And it looks like a pretty bright pink shade. So we're going to use the Synergy Designer Pro, and a ton just came up. So let me dab some of that off. That's a little bit too much. Okay, so I've got a little bit on my brush now, and I'm gonna kind of pat the product on, and then I'm gonna swirl. And for my shape, you know, I have pretty large cheeks, and I don't have like the really defined bone structure here. So I like to kind of always go in an upward motion because I think for me, it just adds a little bit more definition, kind of helps me making sure that I don't get the blush down too low. Sorry for the interruption. Okay, so I'm gonna put a little bit on this cheek and do the same thing. All right, so I think that looks good. Let's just kind of use the side of the brush that, you know, doesn't really have any pigment on if, you know, a spot looks a little bit too dark, to just kind of blend. So that's what I'm doing here, just to kind of soften that a little bit. All right, so that's it for that. Let's go ahead. I'm going to use the Guerlain Meteorites in light. And this is the Chikuhodo F01. This is the Silver Fox brush. So we've got the blush on, got the Guerlain Meteorites in light, and now I wanted to try the Rosy Light Drops. So I think, you know, you could put this on all over, probably like you can mix it in with the foundation. I just want to see what it looks like if I tap a little bit on to my cheeks. So I'm just going to add a tiny bit on my fingers here, and I'm just going to add a couple spots, and you can see on my cheek that it definitely is pink. So I just want to kind of tap this in. Okay, so I like that. So it does have a little bit of a rosy glow. It's definitely going to be a lighter pink than the Éclat du Désert highlighter that came out with the Spring Summer collection. And I think it adds just like a little bit of a rosy sheen to it, a little bit of a glisten. So I like it, and I like it applied like this. So I think I will definitely be doing that again, but I will be trying other methods as well. We'll see how that goes. All right, so just a note, the the gloss for the lid, the Gloss Lumiere, I tried this on this morning before I got in the shower just to kind of play with it a little bit and see what it's like. I have not figured out how to use this yet, so I'm going to play with this a little bit more. But when I put it on top of eyeshadow, it kind of moved the shadow too much. So basically, the eyeshadow that was remaining ended up like a creasy mess pretty much moments afterwards. And then when I put it on all by itself, I couldn't see it. So I don't know. I'll play with this and figure out how to use this. But it can also be used as a highlight on the cheeks as well, or the lips. And that might be, more of a purpose for me. All right, so let's go ahead with the eyeshadow. Okay, so I am going to start off with the Sonia G Builder 3 in this first shade, the light pink. And I'm going to put this on the inner half of my eyelid. So I just got a little bit on there. It's definitely a light rosy pink. I feel like I can barely see it on there. So I'm going to try a fluffier brush. I'm going to move to the Sonia G Mini Booster and just see how that applies. So I can see it a little bit more now. Let's move on to the third shade, the one below this. I'm going to put this on the outer half. I'm using the same brush. And I'm adding a little bit more in the crease here. So I am just going to wipe the excess off of this brush, and I'm going to go into the white shade here with the same brush and just add a little bit to the inner corner. And this white shade, it's a little deceptive because it looks white in the pan, but it really does have like a pink tint to it. So, it's not pure white. All right. And I'm going to use the same brush again, and I'm going to just add a little bit of the purple blush or purple shadow to the outer corner. And anything left on the brush is going into the crease. Okay, so I'm gonna go back with the Builder 3 that I used in the beginning, and I'm gonna take a little bit of the white shade on there, and I'm just gonna kind of tap it in the center and see that kind of adds, yep, there we go. Just adds a little bit more of a glisten. And since it still has that rosy tone to it, I think it goes really well. So, all right. Next, I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of blend. This is a plain crease brush. This is the Sonia G Crease 2. And with no shadow, I'm just going to kind of blend up a little. And this is just going to be a light, easy daytime look. All right, so that's it for the actual shadow. I think for lining the eyes, I'm gonna go a little smudgy today, and I'm using the Pencil Pro from Sonia G, and I am going to go into the deep purple shade. Okay, so I'm going to do upper and lower. So for the lower eyes, I'm just using what's left. Okay, so that is it for the eyeshadow. I'll be back. I'm going to do my mascara and stuff, and I'll be right back. Thanks. Okay, so I am back, and I'm going to just add a little bit of this Gloss Lumiere to right underneath the eyebrow arch. Just see how that looks up there. Just kind of like a little glisten. All right. So all I did was apply the Chanel Inimitable mascara, and then you just saw me apply the Gloss Lumiere. And I think I'm gonna finish up with the new Coco Flash. So I got the shade 112, and it's, you know, it's more of one of those like almost lipsticks, like a cross between a lipstick and a lip balm. So I think it is great for wear, you know, daily wear, and it adds just the right amount of color. I really like it. So, all right. So that's everything for this kind of light, easy look, and play with it again some more later. Thanks so much. Okay, so we're going to start off by using the Rosy Light Drops mixed with foundation. So I'll do half of my face just with foundation and half of it with the Rosy Light Drops in a 50-50 mix. And for that, I'm going to use the Guerlain L'Essentiel foundation. This is my go-to foundation because I really like more light coverage foundations, and this is like a light to medium, but I keep it on the light side. And I use the shade 00N, which is for fair skin with neutral undertones. So I did have a request to just do a few foundation swatches. So I'm going to show you guys these. This here is the Guerlain L'Essentiel in 00N, and I'll share that out in a second. And then another one that I use a lot is the Surratt Dewdrop, and this is shade 1.5, and you can see that it looks a lot lighter. Unfortunately, the 1.5, this is a neutral shade. They also have, you know, the warm and the cool tones, but then when you get to the next level in deepness, it doesn't work for me. It's too warm or too cool. So this actually, with light coverage, does work well for me. So this is a foundation I use a lot. And although they call it Dewdrop, for me, it actually seems a little bit more mattifying. So you can see that the Guerlain L'Essentiel is a little bit warmer, which, as you can see, I have nothing on my face right now. My cheeks are more red. And I just got out of the shower after being at the gym, so they're a little red due to that, but naturally I have a lot of redness in my face. So these are my two top foundations. Other ones I've been looking at a lot are the Chantecaille Future Skin. I have used the shade Porcelain. This is Porcelain here. So you can see in color, it's kind of in between these two. And Porcelain is their fair skin option. But I really want to try the Aura because it's supposed to be slightly lighter. And I have a sample of it. This is Aura. Aura is actually a little bit more cool toned. So here is Aura, and you can see that it is pinkier. Both of these shades actually work well for me. I think I prefer the Porcelain usually just because it does help to balance out some of that redness without making my face look too yellow. So overall, these are the comparisons. Again, we have Guerlain L'Essentiel in 00N, Surratt Dewdrop in 1.5, Chantecaille Future Skin in Porcelain, and Future Skin in Aura. So these are the ones I've been reaching for the most recently, along with the new Givenchy Teint Couture City Balm. So let me just add this one to it. I'm gonna add this right next to the Guerlain L'Essentiel. And this is shade N104. So that's it right here. And for me, this color works well as well. It's actually, when you shear it out, the sheared out form is very similar to the Guerlain L'Essentiel. So they actually work, those two shades give me a really good match. So there we go. And let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I'm going to start off by putting some of the Guerlain L'Essentiel Foundation 00N on my hand, and I'm going to start blending it in on half my face. And for the brush, I'm going to use this Guerlain L'Essentiel brush. Okay, I'm just going to add a little bit more. All right, so there it is with the foundation. You can see that, you know, looks pretty natural. So I've got this much left on my hand, and we're gonna add the Rosy light drops to that. So I'm gonna do about a 50-50 mix. Just gonna mix it on my hands. And I actually wore it this way yesterday, mixed, and I really, really like it. So I just wanted to see if you guys can notice on the camera the difference that it makes, because I feel like this really gave a nice glow to my skin. Okay, let me just add a little bit more on my cheeks. All right, so here are both sides. So to me, it's pretty evident that this side is going to be a little bit more illuminated. I also do have a little bit more of my redness coming through because the foundation's a little bit more diluted, but that really doesn't bother me. Overall though, I really like the subtle glow that I get from that. And yeah, you know, sometimes I mix in like the by Terry serums, which, you know, I've got this and the Starlight Rose, and I'll mix those into foundation. And, you know, I think they give a nice glow too, but honestly, I like this one better. I just feel like it's a little bit more of a natural illumination. And I don't know, I really like it like this. So I just wanted to make sure that I showed you guys like a side-by-side face. So hopefully it's pretty evident what it actually does. All right, so I'll be back in a second. I'm just gonna lay down some under eye concealer, set my powder, and then I'll be back and we'll try out the blush. Thanks. Okay, so I'm back. I added the Sisley Stilo Lumiere in shade 1 under my eyes, and then honestly, for setting under the eyes, the last week or so, I've been using the Chantecaille Hummingbird, the Perfect Blur powder, just under my eyes, and I'm really enjoying this for an under eye setting powder because I think the peachy tone is giving it a little bit of extra brightening as well as the blur effect. So that's working well for me there. And then I set the rest of my face with the Givenchy Poudre Premiere powder. So just a very light coat. All right, so let's get started with the blush. And I've been using this the last few days and I really, really like it. So this is shade 330 Rose Pétillant, and I believe it is a limited edition shade. Okay, I'm gonna use the Sonia G Designer Pro brush with this, and this blush is very pigmented, so you just wanna tap lightly on here to get a little bit of the color. You can already see how much color I have on the bristles. So just gonna kind of tap it on and then swirl it in. Oh, put on too much. Let me just dab that on my cloth. There we go. The first time I used this blush, I was not prepared for how pigmented it was, and I put on way too much and really had to buff it in. So I've definitely been using a very light hand with this, and then I build up instead. This is definitely, it's just very pigmented. All right, so I'm gonna add just a little bit more. And kind of when I'm happy with the actual pigmentation on my cheeks, I've been using the side of the brush and just kind of swirling a little bit to get a little bit more of a buffed look. All right, so that's it for the blush. I think this is a great spring summer blush. I definitely love this one. This is definitely one of my new favorite Chanel blushes, so I'll be using this frequently. All right, so we're gonna do just a quick eye look. We're gonna start off with something light and easy, and then I'll be moving through and showing you guys some other eye looks as well. So I think today we're gonna start off with the 356 Au Fil de Fleur. This is the pink and purple one. So we'll do a light look with this. So I'll be back in a second. Let me just adjust the camera. All right, so we're gonna do a light and easy look. And since I already have, you know, two different sides, one with the Rosy Light Drops mixed in the foundation and one with it not, I'm going to do one side kind of light, and then I'm going to make it a little bit darker on the other side. All right, so we're going to start off with number 356, Au Fil de Fleur. And I am going to go in with the Sonia G. This is the Worker Pro brush. And I am going to head into this light pink shade. And I'm applying this basically to the crease. And I'm building that up a little bit onto the brow bone and a little bit down into the inner corner. Okay, I'm going to use the same brush, and this is a really light shade on me, but you can see like a bit of the shimmer. I'm going to move into the shade below that, this darker pink, and I'm going to put this on the inner half. Okay, and then let's actually add a little bit more. I'm actually going to do 2/3 of the lid with this. All right, and then I am wiping the excess off of that brush. I'm going to put that down, may go back to that later. Okay, so I'm saving that brush for later. I'm going to go in now with the Sonia G Mini Booster into the deep purple shade, and I'm going to do the outer third. So I'm just taking anything that's left on the brush and kind of running that into the crease. And this is just a really, really light look. So I'm now going to move in with this is the classic crease brush from Sonia G. And I'm taking the tip and adding it to the white. And this white is deceptive. It's actually a really, really pale pink. You can see like pink iridescence in it. So I'm just going to dab the inner corner a little bit for some brightening. And then I'm going to go up here on the brow bone and then into the crease and kind of blend. right, so that is a light look. I'm now going to go ahead and just line the eyes with the dark purple. I am using the Smudger One brush from Sonia G, and I'm just getting a little bit on the tip. I'm going to start on the upper lash line and use the excess on the lower lash line. Okay, so there is that look. So it's light and it's easy to wear every day if you wanted to. And yeah, so I've actually been playing around with these eyeshadows quite a bit. This is not the first time I've used them. I've actually tried recording this video a few times, but I had too many interruptions. So I can tell you now that doing this light and easy is really easy to do. Sorry, that's too many easies. But building the color up, it can be a little bit more challenging. So we're going to go ahead and I am going to make it a little bit deeper over on this side. So we're going to go ahead and basically do the same thing, but try to add more color to it and just see how well it layers. So I'm taking the light pink with the shade with the Worker Pro brush. And again, I'm going to go in a little bit in the inner corner and I'm going to build that into the crease. And I'm building this all the way up the brow bone. Now, because I want this color to be a little bit more saturated, I am then going to go into this darker pink shade, and I'm doing the 2/3 with that, but I'm also going to go into the crease with this one. So I'm not carrying it all the way up the brow bone, but I am definitely trying to saturate some of the color here in the crease. All right. So I'm going to go back into the deep purple shade with the mini booster. A little bit more, and I'm going to carry that into the crease. All right, so this time I'm also going to use the Smudge One brush in the deep purple, but this time I'm going to make the line thicker. So I'm actually gonna get some on the side of the brush and kind of just make like a thick line. And again, I'm using the excess, the lower lash line. All right, and then to finish that off, again, I'm going to take the classic crease brush and I'm dabbing it into the white. I'm going to add that to the inner corner, just kind of up and down a little bit. And then I'm going to add a little bit just under the brow bone. I haven't done my brows, but I think you guys can kind of get the idea there. So you can see the effect of basically pretty similar application, but this one I applied a lot more product. So you can see about how dark it gets. Now I'm going to wash this off. I'll be right back. I want to show you how to make the color even more intense. And yeah, this is something I have worn twice now that I'm really liking this. So I will be right back. So I'm back. I just washed off the eyeshadow and I wanted to go through one of my favorite ways I've been wearing this the last couple tries. I've been playing a lot over the weekend. So I've been wearing a few different looks every day, just kind of playing with it. And this is the Gloss Lumiere. So I'm still trying to figure out what my favorite way to wear this is. I tried putting it on top of the eyeshadow and unfortunately it just like creased on me like instantly. And all the eyeshadow basically came off. So I've been playing with it, and one of the ways I like to do this now is I'm taking a little bit of the gloss and I'm putting it on my bare lid. I don't have any primer or anything on. So just doing a light coating there. And you know, this has like a light rosy tint to it, so it's pretty on its own, but honestly, let's face it, you can't really see the color. So it's kind of pointless on its own. And I do like using it under the eyebrow arch as a little bit of a highlight. And I do plan on using this, you know, testing it on my cheeks and on my lips and so forth as well. But what I have been enjoying, and I've tried this is my third time trying it. So what I've been doing is put a little bit on my lid and let it sit for a few minutes. So when I did this last time, I put it on first and then I went and I did my foundation and the rest of my face makeup. And then I came back in and I used the eyeshadow. So it's kind of like, you know, just, it's like if you were to use something like Fix Plus or something like that. So I've been using my fingers and I just kind of wanted to show you guys how much the color gets amped up. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm using the white shade on my pinky. I'm going to add this to the inner corner. And you can see when you put that on how much pink is actually in this white shade. So I'm just going to do all four colors right across in a gradient. So here is the light pink. Here's the medium pink. And then the deep purple. All right, and then what I've been doing is just taking a plain crease brush and kind of just rubbing this in the crease, kind of smearing these colors here together, going up a little bit. Now, using the brush and the crease, you can see it is kind of moving some of that other pigment. So then I just go back in and kind of clean that up a little bit, add a little bit more. All right, so that makes the colors very, very vibrant. And I wore this yesterday and I really liked it. Let's see here, I had it on, I don't know, like probably 6 hours or so. And I didn't really look at it in the middle at all. But by the end, basically from opening and closing my eyes, it had definitely faded in this area like it did after I used the crease brush. But the rest of it stayed on fairly well. It didn't become like a creasy mess or anything like that. I couldn't actually see any creasing in the eyeshadow. It, just looked solid, but I definitely lost pigment where my eye hits when it opens. So that was just something. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to do a little bit more on this side and think let's try this a little differently. So for this one, I'm going to start off with the purple, and I'm using the Sonuji Smudger one. I'm using the side of the brush. I'm going to lay this on the lash line here, and I'm tapping. Okay, and then moving on, I'm going in with the Worker Pro brush that I used before, and I'm just going to do another gradient from dark to light. So I'm going in with the medium pink, and I'm kind of tapping this on. And I think I'm just going to like kind of smudge those two a little bit. Okay, I'm wiping that off, and I'm going to use the other side of the brush for the lighter pink. And this is going to go into the crease area. All right, and then I'm going to go back in with my finger for the white. Just kind of tap that on there. And then I feel like that still needs to kind of be worked in more. So I'm taking the Worker Pro again. I'm going back into the deeper pink shade, and I'm going to kind of blend the pink and the purple a little bit more on those edges. All right, so personally, I prefer more of this look, but I think this could be really cool, kind of smoking it out. Actually, let's add a little bit more purple and kind of blend that even more. All right, so you can still see some of the pink mix in here, but it's definitely still darker down by the baseline. Let's add a little bit more of the pink here. That could actually be pretty cool. I like that. Then finish it with some black liner or winged eyeline or winged liner or something like that. I think that could be a really cool nighttime look. All right. But I really just love these, like more of these like vertical gradients. So that's kind of what I gravitate towards. So here you go, just like an up close of both eyes. And then another thing I've really been enjoying is mixing this quad with the other quad. So I'll be back in a minute, and we'll go ahead and do the next quad. So I'll be back. Okay, so I am back. I washed my face, I put on some moisturizer, then I went ahead and applied the Guerlain L'Essentiel Foundation 00N. This is like Gloss Lumiere under my eyes with the Hummingbird Chantecaille Perfect Blur Powder under my eyes as well. I use that to on top of the foundation as well. So I use that all over. And then I applied the 330 Rose Pétillant blush. And I just added a light coat of the Guerlain Meteorites in Light. So I was going to use the Rosy Glow. The other way that I have been wearing it so far is just kind of tapped on. So I've been using this like on top of everything. So I'm just getting a little bit on my fingers here And I'm just going to kind of tap it on here and just kind of tap it in. So this is much more pronounced than mixing it in the foundation. And I actually really, really love this rosy sheen to it. It's like a light petal pink. So the Eclat du Désert highlighter that came out with the spring summer collection, that is one of my favorites right now. I really like that pink, but it is more of like a blush highlighter for me because it's more of like a dusty rose, medium pink. And this is like a really light petal shade. And I love this sheen. It doesn't, feel sticky or anything. This actually feels more, I mean, it's more like watery feeling when you put it on, not like, there's no like stickiness or tackiness after I apply it. So I really like it. So I've been wearing it this way. I'm mixing the foundation. And again, as I stated before, I've only had these items for a few days. So honestly, I've just been doing a lot of playing. So been putting stuff on before I shower. I've been putting stuff on after I take off my makeup and before bed. And sometimes a couple times during the day, like yesterday I went out at night. So I had like 4 looks during the day yesterday just to kind of play with everything. And it's been a lot of fun. All right, so I'm gonna actually put some above my eyebrows too, but I really like that sheen. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and do a light and soft focus look with this quad. This is 358 Officilo. And I'm gonna start off with the Sonia G Jumbo Blender, and I'm going into this peach shade, and I'm gonna use this in the crease and up on the brow bone. So I'm just kind of putting it everywhere. And this color for me it matches my skin tone. Like if you recall in the swatches, you basically can't see it on me. So I'm just gonna kind of put this all over. I'm gonna do this. Okay, so really, you can't really see this color too much on me, but I think it is just like a nice, kind of like a base look. So kind of like smooths out some of the veining and so forth in my eyes. All right, so we're gonna move ahead, and I'm using the Sonia G Builder Pro, and I am going to go into this lighter silver shade. And both of these silvers are more bluish. I'm not gonna go all the way in the inner corner. I'm going to leave a little bit of space there, and I'm going to build that up with the peach again later. And then from there, I am going to use, this is the Esum W21, and I'm going to go into the dark gray. You see it right here. And I'm going to do the outer portion. And again, I'm running any excess into the crease. And I'm going to make that a little bit darker. I feel like I need to go back in with the light silver. So I'm taking that Builder Pro again. I'm just going to add a little bit more, and I'm tapping it. So basically I'm tapping it here over the center, and then I'm going to do more of a sweeping motion towards the inner corner. But I'm going to wipe the excess off of this brush, and I'm going to go into the peach, and I'm going into the inner portion and tapping this one. So they're kind of layered. I'm just gonna check the crease here. All right, so this look is definitely going to be a lot more silver with this one. Let me go ahead and I'm going to add a little bit of the white shade. And this is more of a stark white shade than the other one. I'm using the Refer 13. I'm just going to add a little bit here. And I'm going to bring it a little bit into the crease, but focusing. So I'm going just here in the crease, like, so not all the way over here. I'm going to bring this up on the brow. All right. And then for lining the eyes, I'm taking the Refer number 3, which is a pencil brush, going into the deepest shade, and I'm going to line my lashes with this. Okay, I'm wiping the excess off of that brush, and you can see it got fairly clean. I'm going to go into the peach and do this inner portion here. All right, so this is my first eye. And I personally really like this look, but I am very partial to this shade of gray. So it's really more of a blue gray. And let's go ahead and let's start on the other eye, trying to build up more of the white and peach, and then we'll use the gray more as an accent. I'm going to take the Refer number 2 brush, and I'm going to go in with the white shade and start off on the inner corner. So remember, I do have like a layer of the peach kind of down, but it was done with the big fluffy brush. So it's just a really light coating. And I'm just kind of trying to tap this on here. You can see that it's got some sparkle and it's got a little bit of the peachy undertone, but honestly, it's not going to be like super pigmented. This color is great for right here in the inner corner and under the brow because it's brightening, but it's not like super white or super pink. I'm actually, while I have this brush out, I'm just adding a little bit here. Just kind of drag that underneath. All right, so I'm wiping the excess off of that brush. I'm going in with the peach, and I am going to load my brush up. So I'm getting a bunch on there, and I'm going to just start kind of tapping this on here. So although this shade is, they consider all 8 of these shades to be iridescent, or a shimmer shade. This one is probably the most matte out of all of them. There's definitely less shimmer in this peachy shade than there are in anything else. So I could actually just stop here and you kind of have like this really light neutral look. And I personally really like that because I think it makes my eyes look large. And yeah, I like the way this looks just as it is. But we are going to continue on, and I'm going to go in with, I'm going to try this brush. This is the Esom W36, and I'm going to start off with the light gray, and I'm going to kind of place this in the outer V, but I'm kind of going to be a little messy and kind of work this in a little bit through the outer third. So I just want like a little bit here. So I'm going in lightly. So it's basically just on this outer portion, and it's very light. So again, I could stop here, and that's just a beautiful, really, really light look as well. But I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit more of the deep gray this time. And this I'm going to place more carefully in a V shape. And I'm just using that brush just to get any excess into the crease there. All right. So that's it for that. I actually do want to go back in with, this is the Refer 13. I'm going back in with the white. I'm just going to dab a little bit more here in the inner corner and kind of drag that up a little bit more. All right. So for under the eyes, I am actually going to use the light silver. And I'm going to do this on the upper and lower lashes. Okay, so I'll be right back. I'm actually going to finish this off with some mascara. I know both eyes look very different, but I just kind of want the effect anyway. So I'll be back in a second. Okay, so I am back. I actually really, really like this lighter, peachier look. I don't know, I really like the subtleness of the gray there. I like this one a lot actually too, but this one is really just very eye brightening to me. So I really, really like this quad. I added the Rouge Coco Flash in 112 to my lips, but otherwise I didn't do anything aside from the Chanel Inimitable Mascara. I wanted to take a second to go over the Gloss Lumiere, and I think we're just going to add a little bit under the eyebrow arch here, so you can kind of see, can you see the glisten there? And I wanted to show you guys what happens when I add it on top of the eyeshadow. So just tapping this on. It gives like a nice shine, but unfortunately you can't really keep tapping with the same finger because you're basically taking the eyeshadow off. Can you see it on my fingers? So it looks good. And then 5 minutes later, everything just kind of like creases and drifts down towards my eyelashes. So if anybody has recommendations on how to use this on top, please let me know because I really like it. But so far, I've been preferring to use it as a base. All right, so another way that I will be trying this out will be on my lips. See how that looks. But not right now. So I'll be back in a little bit with some more. Thanks. Okay, so I just wanted to show you another look with the Gloss Lumiere down on my lids. So you can see a little bit of the pink iridescence. There's a little shininess. But for the most part, this top coat, it doesn't really show much on my bare lids, which, are kind of pink. So, but I did want to show you guys another look with the colors a bit more saturated. And I am going to use my fingers again. I'm going to start off with the 356, and I'm going to start with this medium pink and put this towards the inner portion of my eye. And now I'm moving to the dark purple and going next to that. And then I'm moving on to the 358. I'm doing the light gray. And you can see how much more blue shows through with this gloss underneath. So now I'm going into the dark gray for the very outer corner. All right, and then I am going to go into the white shade for the inner corner here. And you can see there's definitely a little bit more of a peachy hue to this one when it is saturated. All right, so next I'm just going ahead and I'm taking a clean crease brush with nothing on it. I'm just gonna blend the outer edges. And this is the Esom G34. Now, one thing about the gloss is it makes these very easy to move. So, you know, if I get a little bit too far outside, it actually, you can really kind of shift it a bit. But it also means you can see that my brush is dragging some of it away from the crease. I'm just going to go in and add a little bit more right at the end. All right. So I'm just going to go into each of those colors and just add a tiny bit more. All right, so I like that. And then honestly, you know, if you kind of take your finger and kind of smear those together a little bit just by tapping, you know, it gets a really nice kind of blended look as well. Kind of shear out those edges a bit. Okay, so there's that. And then on the other side, I wanted to show you just the 358 quad on its own, kind of saturated. So here's the white going in the inner corner. And then I'm putting the peach next to it. A little bit more. This peach is really light, so I'm not even sure if you can really see it, but it's similar to my skin tone, but you can kind of see like a velvety texture to it. I'm just going to go in with the silvers. And I've used a brush this way before as well. I'm taking the finger I used the light silver on and just kind of tapping that over the peach to kind of blend those a little bit more. But as I was saying, I have used a brush this way before, but I think finger works better with the gloss. It just ends up having too much movement. So you can see that I definitely have like a lot outside the crease here. So I'm just going to take a brush and kind of sweep that up. Okay. And I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit more going up to the crease, and that'll be it. Okay, so I just wanted you guys to see what the colors look like when they are a bit more saturated. So if you were to use them wet, this is what the colors look like. I think they are gorgeous. So I'll be back later with one more look. So thanks. Okay, so for this last look, I'm gonna go ahead and start with the 356 quad. And I am taking the Esom S33, which is a crease brush, and I am going to go into the light pink. And I'm going to use this as a base on the inner third half of my eyelid and in the crease area. So with the crease, I'm actually going to take this all the way up to the brow. All right, so I'm going to actually just add a little bit more of the light peach shade, 358, okay, to the crease and upper brow bone part, just to kind of have like a peachy pinky look up there. And this is really light, but I'm gonna make it a little bit darker by going back to this one and taking this darker pink, still the same brush, and I'm just putting a little bit on the tip of the brush. I'm gonna add this into the crease. And I'm focusing more on, you know, maybe 1/3 and over. So this is a little bit darker. All right, so as you can tell, I'm going for a very light and easy look today. All right, so next I'm gonna go ahead, I'm going to be doing the silvers from the 358 quad on my lids. So I am gonna start off with the W21 brush from Esom, and I'm using the lighter silver, and I'm going to put this, just gonna kind of tap it onto the inner half or so of my eyelid. And you can see where it hits the pink, it turns into this really pretty like purpley gray shade. So it's like, it looks more like a duochrome where they actually mix together. And when you move, you see a little bit of purple, a little bit of pink, a little bit of bluish, grayish, greenish color. So I think that's really pretty, and I really like the effects that these shadows have when they are layered. All right, I'm wiping the excess off of that brush, and I am going into the deeper gray shade, and I'm putting that on the outer half. All right, so you can see it's really more of a silver look, but where the pink is hitting through, you get like the hints of purple, which makes it a little bit more unique. And then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm taking the Esom W36, and I'm going back into the 356 quad into the deep purple, and I'm going to add this to the outer corner. Dragging the excess into the crease. Add a little bit more. Okay, so next I am just go ahead and I am going to take a pencil brush. Let's see, what do I have? So I'm going to take the Synergy Flat Definer. I'm going into the 358 quad. I'm going to take the white side, the white shade, and I'm actually going to put a little bit just on the side of it and do the inner corner here with this. And I feel like I have enough pink showing through that I want to use something a little bit peachier here. So a little bit more. All right, so I'm going to use this flat definer. I'm going into the deep purple shade to line my eyes. Underneath my eyes, I want to go in and I'm going to add a little bit of this silver shade. This is the lighter shade. And I'm just going to add this underneath on top of the purple. Okay, so I'm gonna finish this look off with some mascara. And okay, so I am back and this is the final look. So I personally really like the way that these blend and they kind of make a like silvery, purpley, blue, pinkish color. Like you can see all of those colors kind of mixed in. So I really like this. So let me just tell you everything I have on so I don't forget. I am wearing a 50-50 mix of the Guerlain L'Essentiel foundation in 00N with the Blanc Rosy Light Drops. So it's a 50-50 mix. Put that on. I used the Sisley Cielo Lumiere in shade 1 under my eyes. And then I applied the new Chanel blush, the 330 Rose Pétillant. Then I added the Chantecaille Perfect Blur powder and I put some under my eyes and I buffed it into my face on top of the blush actually. And let's see here. Then I did the eyes. I used the Surratt Expressioniste brow pencil in, I want to say it's taupe. And then the Tom Ford Fiber Brow Gel was in taupe. The mascara, I have the Chanel Mascara Base and the Chanel Inimitable Mascara. I added some of the Rosy Light Drops, just kind of tapped on my cheeks and down the bridge of my nose as well. So I've got a little bit of a highlight there from that. You can see that sheen. And I really like this. Just a note, I have tried using the Gloss Lumiere as a highlight on the cheeks and I didn't record that, but it does give a similar highlight look. It's a little bit more of an iridescent pink when you apply it, but I don't like the sticky texture. So, it feels like lip gloss basically on your cheeks. So, like and have like a hair gets stuck on it or whatever. So I don't personally like that texture. I did try it and the look is fine. It's not my personal preference to wear it there. On my lips, though, I do have a coat of the Gloss Lumiere down, and then on top of that is the Rouge Coco Flash in 112 with a little bit more of the Gloss Lumiere just kind of in the center. And you can see like there is some pink iridescence added into the lip color then. And that is everything for this look. So thank you so much for joining me, and I will. So I just wanted to share my thoughts on the new Chanel Le Blanc collection. And overall, I really enjoy this collection a lot. So I love both of the quads. Honestly, I'm not sure which one I prefer. If I had to pick one, I really like them paired together. That's actually my favorite way to use them. If they had made this like a big 8 shadow palette, that would have been fantastic. And I really like the way these look wet and dry. I think, they're gorgeous colors, but dry, they're going to give you more of a softer, diffused light, and wet obviously will be a bit punchier. Now, I do really like that they refer to these shadows on Chanel's website as iridescent. And I definitely see like hints of color. And when you layer these, you can see that more evidently. So when I just wear the silver plain, you kind of get like a hint of the blue and a hint of the gray. But when I layer it with the pink, I see pink, purple, blue, green, gray, and, a little bit of silver. So I see a lot more. And obviously part of that is the combination, but I do think that mixing them does kind of tend to bring out some of the colors that just aren't as noticeable on their own otherwise. The peach shade in the 358 quad, it's very similar to my skin tone, so it doesn't show up very much. However, I actually really, really like it because it gives just a little bit of a hint of something. And using it wet, it does give like more of a peachy sheen, but I just really like the tone of it. And I think it works really well as a base color for me. Both of these gray shades or silvery, they do have blue undertones to them. And I think they are very, very pretty. I really like them a lot. The white has a little bit of a peach undertone to it, but it's more of a starker white. than the white one in the 356 quad. So when we go to this quad, this one, when you put it on, it's definitely, you're gonna see pink. So, you know, it's white, but it's got like that pink opalescence in there, so that when you actually put it on, you see a lot of the pink. The light pink and the darker pink, I like both of these a lot. The light one works really well for me. I prefer that one closer to my eye than I do with the darker pink, because this one has a little bit more reddish tones to it. So I personally, you know, just I like this more a little bit further out, not really inner corner. But both of these colors are great. They're both kind of light, and you know, they blend well. The deep purple, I really like this deep purple a lot. You know, it works great as a liner, it works great as a shadow. Just doing this as a look, the deep purple with just the grays, you can make a really nice smoky eye look. I think that is gorgeous. And you know, overall, I love all 8 of these shades. I don't think I could pick a favorite eyeshadow quad. So I think it's really more like which colors you gravitate to personally. But I myself really like mixing the two together. I really like all of the shades a lot. So I anticipate using these a lot during the summer. The Gloss Lumiere, I still haven't found my favorite way to use this. I really like putting this underneath the eyeshadow. I'm kind of making those pop. But again, you can do that with anything like, you know, like any sort of, I'm trying to blank on names, like MAC Fix Plus and Duraline, or just water, you know, so it doesn't have to be that. So I kind of feel like it's a waste to use it that way. I also, though, I do really like using it on the lips. I think it makes a really nice, you know, light pink, and that's probably going to be my primary way to use it. And but yeah, if anybody has recommendations, you know, for me, I think this is probably going to be mostly a lip gloss. Sometimes I'll use it like under the arch of my eyebrows and so forth, or as a base. But you know, would I purchase this again? You know, I probably would, just to play with it, and it's something, you know, unique. But I think as a top coat, I haven't had success with it because I just have too much shifting of the shadows. And honestly, it's such a light color that you know, it's not as noticeable. I feel like as a top coat, maybe some of the ones from the fall collection might have worked a little bit better because they were more evident, at least from on my skin tone. So, you know, kind of mixed on the Gloss Lumiere. For the blush, I absolutely love this blush shade. It is definitely going to be one of my favorite Chanel blushes. I think it gives a great pop of color to the cheeks. It's pigmented, so you want to use a light hand. But, you know, like all Chanel blushes, the formula is fantastic. It blends out well. It's really easy to use, and I think it just gives like kind of like a nice like velvety look on the cheeks. So I really like this. The Rouge Coco Flash, you know, it's kind of like a mix between a lip balm and a lipstick, more on the balmy side texturally. I really like this. I think the shade is great. And this is actually my first Rouge Coco Flash. I had one, or what, I don't even know if it was the same thing, but I had one of these products like a long time ago, and you know, honestly, I just never really got any more. You know, it didn't strike me as something like fantastic at the time. It might have been like, it was a long time ago, so I don't even know if it was a Rouge Coco Flash or not. But anyway, I do really enjoy this. I plan on picking more of these up. I might pick up the other coral shade that's out, or just some from the regular line. So that I think is fantastic. The Rosy Light Drops. I love these. So I am very glad I got them. I think, you know, just when you put it on, it gives you, it's got like pink, like a rosy pinky pearl type look to it. And I personally really like it. either mixed in the foundation. I've used it underneath foundation, so like as a blank coat of this and then putting the foundation on top. It's not as noticeable, so I'm probably not going to use it that way, but as a mix into the foundation, I think it's great. It will dilute your foundation color a little bit, to make it more like tinted moisturizer or lighter coverage, which is great for the summer. But I really like using this dabbed on the cheeks as a highlight as well, because it's subtle, but there's definitely like a sheen and a little bit of, a rosy dew glow to it. So I really, really like this. I'm glad I purchased these. And I don't think Chanel comes out with products like this that often, so that's what intrigued me in the first place. But I would definitely be interested in seeing some others that they come out with in the future. So that was an A+ for me. So overall, I think that was everything from the collection that I purchased. I loved everything. So it was great. If I had to narrow it down to my top favorites, I would say that the blush, in my opinion, is a must-have because it will be a limited edition color, I believe. And if I could only pick two things, I'd probably go with the blush and the Rosy light drops, because I feel like they're just, these are really unique. And I don't know if those are limited edition or not, but I really like this blush. The eyeshadow quads, I love them, but I really can't pick between the two of them. So I'm not sure. So, all right. That is it for the Chanel collection. And just before we go, if you are interested in sticking around, I have had some questions about the Chantecaille collection in comparison to the Chanel collection. So let's go ahead. We'll take a second or a minute and go over the swatches for both of those and my thoughts on how the two collections compare. So stay tuned if you're interested. Otherwise, have a great day. Thanks. Okay, so the Chantecaille Hummingbird collection and the new Chanel Le Blanc collection do have pretty similar color stories. So here is the warm palette from Chantecaille, and this is the 358 from Chanel. So you can see that they both utilize peachy shades and silvery shades. However, I think they are pretty different. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to swatch each of these. So the peach you can barely see there. Okay, so we've got the peachy top coat. This is the matte brown. This is the slate. And this is the all over duochrome, which has pink and peach and gold kind of mixed in. So you can see that the slate shade from Chantecaille is going to be a much deeper gray. You have a lot more sparkle in these, whereas the Chanel shades, they do have sparkle, but they are more of a subtle variety than this. And I think overall the colors don't really match up. So yes, they're peaches and grays, but I think they are very different. So this slate shade, it definitely has more charcoal in it and a lot more sparkle, and it shears out really well. They all shear out really well actually, but I feel like when you shear this one out, you're seeing more of a true gray or a charcoal gray, whereas when these get sheared out, you see more blue. So you can see that the lighter silver actually looks more like a dusty blue when it shears out compared to the darker one. But even the darker one has a lot more of a blue tone to it than this one. This one's definitely more of a charcoal gray to me. The peaches, I don't think they really compare at all. So this light peach is really more of a light flesh tone color, whereas these are going to be more coppery peaches. Even this duochrome, this has such a pink shift, especially when you put it on the eyes, that I don't really think it's comparable to anything in the Chanel. And the Chanel does have this white. It does have a peachy tint, especially if you get it wet, but otherwise it's pretty white. So I feel like these colors, they don't really compare. If you were to pick up one or the other between these, I honestly think it's a personal preference as to which one you would prefer, which colors you would use more. So I absolutely love this slate color, and I would love to have this slate color, all on its own. I guess if I really had to pick, if I were being forced to pick between the two, even though I love this Chantecaille slate shade, I might go with the Chanel because I really like the blue tones in these grays, and I think that they just have a little bit more color mixed into them than these other shades here. So although the slate is by far my favorite out of all 8 of these colors, I think the Chanel wins as a quad overall. So that's just my personal opinion, and honestly, like, unless I really, really had to pick, I would just get both. So let me go ahead and let's look at the Chantecaille. This is the Cool Hummingbird quad and the Chanel. Okay, so again, we're still sticking with very similar colors. We've got pinks and purples in both of them. All right, so let me start off with swatching the Chanel. So for the Chanel, we've got the light pink. Here's the white that has a lot of pink iridescence in it, the deeper pink, and the purple. So beautiful, beautiful colors. Definitely cooler tone shades for all of these. Now let's go ahead and look at the Chantecaille. All right, so here we have the light pink. This is the taupe. This is the deep purple. And this is the duochrome shade. Okay, so again, although they might have similar color stories in the pan, I think that they are very, very different from the Chanel shadows. So, picking between these is really hard. It's really more like what you are looking for. For me, I think, this taupe shade and this light pink shade, these are like 2 of my favorite shades overall. I've always gravitated towards these really light pearly pinks, and this shade, you can see these are much more rosier in the Chanel versus this, and this is kind of like the undertone that I like the best for like inner corner and stuff for myself. And this taupe shade is totally one of my favorites all time. So again, this is another shade that I wish Chantecaille would come out with as a single. So overall, if I had to pick between these 2 quads, I would go with the Chantecaille for this one over the Chanel, primarily because of these colors. So I really, really love all 8 of these. So it's really hard to pick. And again, that's just if, really, really had to come down to it. Now, if I had to just pick one out of all 4 of these, I don't really think I could do that. So that's probably the best I can do to narrow it down. So I hope that was helpful. And if you guys have any questions, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Which quads you guys prefer, which items from the collections you picked up, and what your thoughts are on those. As to the Rouge Coco Balm versus the Lip Cheeks from Chantecaille, they are completely different. This is really more of a balm texture, whereas the other ones are going to be a little bit more pigmented, more lipstick-like. So I don't really think they compare. And so I can't really give a which one would you rather have type thing on those. So overall, those are my thoughts on the 2 collections. I think both Chantecaille and Chanel did an amazing job with these collections. I love both of them. I honestly, I don't know which one I love more. I guess, yeah, it's really kind of like a toss-up. I like things from both of them, a ton. So that's kind of a toss-up. Chantecaille might still be slightly closer to my heart, partly due to the packaging and so forth as well. And, I really, really love those lip cheeks. So, you know, it's like maybe 51-49%. So there we go. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you made it this far, thank you. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Any questions, comments, or suggestions, please leave them down below. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. And I hope to see you in my next video. Thank you so much and have a great day.